Good morning, Ms. James. Can you please say your full name?
My name is Catherine Olwyn James.
What's your current address? Have you ever spoken with Ms. Vasquez before today?
Yes.
When?
I don't recall.
What was the substance of that conversation?
I don't recall.
Was it in the past month?
No.
Was it in the past year?
Yes.
Did you talk about this case?
No.
What did you talk about?
I don't recall.
If you don't recall, how can you recall that you didn't discuss this case? Have you discussed this case or the UK litigation with Mr. Waldman?
Yes, I discussed the UK case with Mr. Waldman.
What did you discuss about the UK case with Mr. Waldman?
Your Honor, can we stop this, please?
Okay.
I don't recall.
Can you pause, please?
No details whatsoever that you recall?
Yeah.
Did Miss...
You could, there you go. All right, you want to approach?
Sure.
I'm not sure. Ladies and gentlemen, in addition to the video deposition, there are some extra statements that this witness made that aren't part of the video, but is part of her testimony. So Mr. Rottenborn is just going to read those into the record and for you as well, okay?
Question. Have you spoken with Adam Waldman before? Answer, yes. Question. When was the last time you spoke with him? Answer, I don't recall. Question. How many times have you spoken with him? Answer. I would say somewhere around 10 times total. Question. Have you spoken with him in 2022? Answer. Yes. Question. What was the substance of that conversation? Answer. Friendly banter. Question. About what? Answer. Nothing to do with the case at all. Question. What was it about? Answer. We have gotten to know each other, and, you know, I was on vacation, said Happy New Year, that's it. Question, did you call him or did he call you? Answer, I didn't call him. Question, did you text him? Answer, I sent a message saying Happy New Year to a lot of my friends. Question, over text? Answer, yes.
All right, thank you, sir. All right, you can continue the video.
Waldman assist you in preparing your witness statements for the UK litigation?
No.
Did you exchange drafts of those statements with Mr. Waldman?
No.
Who did you send those drafts to?
Shillings.
Is every word in those witness statements words that you drafted?
Yes.
Did anyone provide edits to those witness statements for your consideration?
I'm very good at my own editing, I can assure you.
That didn't answer my question. Did anyone else provide edits to those witness statements for your... Now, you've spoken with Mr. Depp since he and Amber got divorced, correct?
Correct.
When was the last time you spoke with them? You can answer.
I don't recall.
Was it within the past year?
No.
In any day prior to today, have you exchanged text messages with Mr. Depp?
Yes.
When was the last time, approximately, that you exchanged text messages with Mr. Depp?
I would say 2016. Oh, yeah, I think 2016, but it's a long time ago.
When was the last time you spoke with Amber Heard?
I don't recall.
Was it shortly after your employment with her ended in 2015?
No.
Was it after that?
No.
Have you spoken with her to the best of your recollection or communicated with her in any way in the past, say, 5 years?
No.
When were you hired by Ms. Heard?
In 2012.
How did you meet her?
Her sister put an ad through, a recruitment system I use in my field.
Take me through the chronology of, well, let me ask it this way. When did would you describe your work for Ms. Heard as a personal assistant? Is that what you would call your job title?
Yes.
When did you first start working as a personal assistant?
In 1999.
For how many people have you served as a personal assistant?
Maybe 6.
Since you left Ms. Heard's employment in 2015, for how many people have you served as a personal assistant?
1. That's the same person I work for to this day. I've been with him for 6.5 years.
Ms. James, have you had any other jobs since, other than this personal assistant job, since you left Ms. Heard's employment?
No.
Now, your work for Ms. Heard was it part-time or full-time?
It started as part-time and became full-time.
When did you change from part-time to full-time?
I don't recall.
What were your job duties?
Too many to mention.
Give me your best summary of what your job duties were, please.
Is this relevant? Okay, so let's see. I mean, if you are ready for a really, really long time of me explaining all of the details, that's fine. It's everything you could possibly do to run someone's life, okay? So it is grocery shopping. It is taking care of admin. It is running errands. It is getting the car fixed. It is getting the dogs groomed. It is picking up flowers. It is dealing with the decorator. It is dealing with the housekeeper. It is going on and on and on and on, and it goes on every single day. Arranging travel, dealing with all of the surplus staff around the travel, booking all the greeters, dealing with the changing of travel, okay, liaising with people that she's working with on films, updating her calendar accordingly, liaising with the people on set every single day to update her calendar to ensure that she knows what scene she's doing each day, what her call time is. Every day it's something different. But it's a lot. It's a myriad of things that go across the board daily.
You were paid for that work, correct?
Very poorly.
What were you paid? Was it $1,500 a week to start?
Kidding?
Is that what?
I wish. My God. No, it was not. She paid me $25 an hour to start off with, And she finally agreed, after screaming abuse at me, that she would pay me $50,000 a year once I went to full time. And this was after me working for well over 10 years as a personal assistant. So it was very insulting to me, but I did it anyway because I had grandfathered in the ability to pick up my son from school and bring him to work with me at 3 o'clock.
And you could have left Ms. Heard's employment at any time, correct?
Yes.
You were based in Los Angeles when you were providing personal assistant services to Ms. Heard, right?
I have always lived in Los Angeles since 1999.
So you didn't travel with Ms. Heard when she was out of town, correct?
That was another part of our agreement, that I wouldn't travel with her because of my child.
And she was out of town quite a bit, right?
Not really.
Not really? How many weeks a year would you estimate Ms. Heard was out of town while you worked for her?
Well, you're talking almost 10 years ago, so I can't tell you quite honestly.
But when she was out of town, you wouldn't see, you never traveled with her, right?
No.
How much did you see Mr. Depp over the course of your employment with Ms. Heard?
Regularly.
How many times? Well, obviously you didn't see him when he was out of town, right?
No.
When he was in town, would you see him daily, weekly, monthly? What would you estimate?
There is no rhyme or reason to answer that question.
Now, you never witnessed any violence between Ms. Heard or Mr. Depp, right?
No.
And Ms. Heard never told you that she had been violent to Mr. Depp, correct?
No.
You had knowledge that Ms. Heard and Mr. Depp had arguments, correct?
No.
Ms. Heard never told you that she and Mr. Depp had arguments?
Occasionally she'd send a text message complaining about her mental state, but it's never clear exactly what was going on.
Okay, so you never...
It was like, I remember she would text me complaining about her mental state, and that was about it. I don't have any of the text messages, so it's hard to remember.
Do you recall hearing anything about an alleged incident between Amber and Johnny on a flight from Boston to LA around this time frame?
Like I said, I remember that day very well.
And to follow up on that, I'm not asking just about what Amber may have told you. I'm just trying to drill down generally to what you may have heard, whether from Amber or Johnny or anyone, about that flight. Does that make sense? So can you tell us, what do you remember hearing about that flight, or what happened or didn't happen on that flight from Boston to LA?
Don't know.
Sitting here today, you don't remember anything that you heard about that?
I don't know. I wasn't on the plane. I just know what happened afterwards, okay? When she asked me to come meet her at the shuttle.
Did you think to ask her if she was okay?
You know, I probably did, because that's my role, to play a caregiver. That's all I can imagine.
So what do you remember about this day that you alluded to earlier?
Mostly my surprise that they went to the Chateau Marmont, because Amber had an apartment of her own in West Hollywood that was like completely set up and available to her. So that was my biggest confusion. Like, why did she go to the Chateau? And then she asked me to get her bathing suit. I remember that. So I had to go to her apartment to get her bathing suit, which again seems strange to me. And then what also seemed strange is when I got there, she had a bunch of friends with her. And originally I thought she was alone.
Did, when you refer to Amber's apartment, are you referring to the apartment on Orange Avenue?
Yes, yeah.
And isn't it true that Mr. Depp would spend time in that apartment with Amber time to time, correct?
Well, I don't really know what the question is in relation to that. He wasn't there at that time, if that's what you're referring to.
Yeah, no, that's not my question. My question was just over the course of your employment, you have knowledge of Mr. Depp spending time at that Orange Avenue apartment,
They spent
right?
time there and at his residences. They would go around different places as well.
Were you concerned about Miss Heard and her well-being on this day?
No, because it had become a pattern with her, and so I was merely placating her, I would say, and especially when I saw she was there with about 4 or 5 girlfriends and basically having fun, enjoying each other down by the pool. That's why she needed a swimsuit, and then they proceeded to hang there all day drinking while I sat around waiting with my son. Actually, I think it was a Sunday that day, I remember. We had to wait all day, and while they just hung around drinking by the pool. And then finally I went home, and finally she went back to her apartment, and then she wanted me to go back and pack her bag for her at about 10 o'clock at night on Sunday, and I said I couldn't go. By that point I'd already spent the whole day sitting there, so I said I couldn't go and pack her bag because I'd already put my son to bed, and she was very angry about that. I remember that.
Okay, so when you asked her if she was okay, you didn't actually care if she was okay. You said you were just placating her, right?
It was a standard procedure at this point. She was a very dramatic person.
So you didn't actually think that there was anything that Amber was actually upset, correct?
As I said, it just didn't make sense that she went to the chateau instead of going home. That was the first red flag for me that day. You know?
So you came to the conclusion that day that she actually wasn't upset. Is that what you're saying?
It's too much. I mean, I already answered once.
What I'm asking is, did you come to the conclusion that there was nothing wrong with Miss Heard that day and that she wasn't actually upset?
I don't know how to answer. I mean, it's such a strange question. Like they said, you already asked me and I already answered.
I'm asking you to answer it again. I don't think I asked the exact same question, but do your best, please.
Could you ask me the question in a different way or a clearer way that is not exactly the same as the last question you asked me?
Did you reach the conclusion that day that Miss Heard hadn't experienced anything traumatic?
Over the course of the day, I observed Miss Heard enjoying the company of her friends for several hours. That's all I have to say on that matter.
And would it be odd for someone who's experienced trauma to want to be around friends? To you?
Yeah, I don't know.
So in any event, you said you sat around at the Chateau Marmont. Is that right?
Yes, well, she was deciding what to do.
Now, you were being paid for that time, correct?
Not overtime. It was a Sunday. I was not being paid, no.
Did you avail yourself of anything at the hotel? Like, did you order any food?
No.
Did you
I might have ordered some food for my son, actually, to be honest, now I think about it, because he was only little at the time. I think he was, 5 or something. So I might have ordered food for my son. I'm not a big eater. Food is not a huge priority for me.
Would you have put that on Miss Heard's tab that day?
Everything was on Depp's tab that day, so no.
On Johnny's tab?
Yes.
Let's bring up the document entitled, or that ends in 6151, please.
Sean, is it 3 on the screen?
When she wrote, "I love you," and you wrote, "Love you too, hon, won't be long, X," was that just placating Miss Heard?
Standard friendly text exchange in my role of work.
Were you trying to be supportive at all, or just placating her?
A bit of both, I guess.
Did you have any concern whatsoever about Miss Heard's well-being that day?
No.
When was the first time that you remember Miss Heard telling you that all wasn't right in the relationship between her and Mr. Depp?
I don't recall exactly when it started, but it was usually her complaining and crying due to, I would say, insecurities within the relationship more than anything else. She would be very, very insecure a lot of the time, and she would call me up crying. I remember one time she called me when she was alone in New York City, and she was crying and walking around the street crying. And he wasn't there. She was alone, but I said to her that she needed to go inside because I was worried that the paparazzi might take a photo of her, and she was in a very dysregulated state. And so just out of kindness, I said to her it was better if she went inside rather than walking around crying in public. I remember that, but I don't remember exactly when that was. It might have been 2012 or 2013. As the job went on, we called each other less and less and did mostly text messaging. It was all text messaging we did.
Did you ever believe that Mr. mistreated her?
No.
So, and why not?
Just never any evidence of it at all. I was there almost daily in both her place and then eventually at his place in West Hollywood, and then ultimately at the lofts downtown. It was a daily basis experience, morning, noon, night, all days of the week. So, you know, I mean, I never once saw any evidence of anything.
Did Miss Heard ever tell you that Johnny had hit her?
No.
Did she ever tell you that Johnny had pulled her hair or pushed her?
No.
Let me ask it a little bit differently. You never believed Miss Heard that Mr. Depp had mistreated her. Is that correct?
At the time or after? I never believed it. In what context are you talking about? During my employ or afterward?
During your...
No, never. And there was never any damage to the apartment that I witnessed. There was never any aftermath of anything ever that I ever saw.
Now, you, of course, have no personal knowledge one way or the other whether Johnny was abusive to her, correct?
Well, I don't know if that's necessarily true, because if it was true, I would have seen the damage, even if I wasn't physically present in the moment of these alleged arguments.
And what's your basis for that statement?
Well, if someone's being beaten, there's generally physical evidence.
So your testimony is that if there was no physical evidence that you observed, then it couldn't have happened, the domestic violence by Johnny toward Amber. Is that your testimony?
No.
Well, I'm trying to understand what your testimony is. Maybe you could clarify for me, Ms. James. Is your testimony that if you never saw firsthand evidence of Johnny being violent to Amber, that it couldn't have happened?
That's not what I said. You're trying to put words into my mouth. I don't appreciate that.
Can you pull up the document that is, well, let me see what it ends with here. It's the DEP 11432, please.
Showing Exhibit 4 on the screen.
Could you pause for a moment,
I'll
please?
direct your attention to the
Okay.
This is a document that we're just looking for the corresponding trial exhibit. If you could just bear with us for 1 minute, and then we'd like to move for admission of it.
All right. What's the number on it?
That's what we're trying to figure
Okay.
out. Sorry for the delay. Your Honor, it's trial exhibit 844.
All right. And that's defendant's 844?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, 844. Any objection to 844? All right, if you want to approach then, if somebody has a copy of 844 for me. Oh, we'll get it. We'll get 844. That's all right. Oh, we'll get it.
Can you just wait 1 minute before you start the video? Yes, thanks.
Box at the bottom. Do you see your name, Kate, in that the column labeled participants?
Yeah.
Is this a text message that you received from Mr. Depp on or around August 13th, 2016?
Yes.
And it appears that he's responding to something that you had sent him, correct?
I don't know.
You see where he says, "Thank you, sweetheart"?
Yes.
He's directing that to you, right?
It looks like there's someone else CC'd on this text, so it could be to that person. I honestly don't know. I can't answer your question.
Could we please pause the video?
All right, could you pause for a second? Thank you. He already did. That was good. Thank you.
Nice work.
Could you
And
switch
Your
to-
Honor, I'd like to.
We'll switch
we can
to-
our.
okay,
our-
that's fine.
Thank you.
Not yet, but not yet. Don't- Make sure it's set right. when you Publish it. All right.
And Your Honor, with the stipulation that we'll prepare a redacted version to be entered into evidence that has other personal identifiers redacted, we'd ask for permission to publish, to admit this into evidence and publish to the jury.
All right. The objections are noted, and we will get the redacted copy. All right. So-
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you. Yeah.
Can you just blow it up, Heather?
All right, sir. All right, are we ready to continue?
Ready to resume with the video. Thank you, Your Honor.
All right.